game week and the way that as an offense putting a game plan in and just the focus and how different it is for guys, when you're at this point.
I think it's fun to play against a different opponent. I think our guys have been banging heads with our defense all camp. We've had a really good camp, got a lot of good work in, but they're ready to go play somebody else. And to get this group through, there's a lot of new faces. To get them through a first game planning week and kind of how that's all going to work. They're chomping at the bit to get out there.
Ryan, you've talked about offensive identity and how that can change year to year. I guess even week to week. Is that something that will be determined more kind of after these first few games when you kind of see what you guys can do?
Yeah, I think as an offense, you're always looking to see what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and that does evolve as the season goes on. So obviously we have quite a few new faces on the offense that are important pieces of the puzzle. To be able to see how they react on game day, we now have seen them in the spring, we see them in the summer. We've seen them throughout fall camp, so we have a good idea of where we want to focus our offense and who we want to get the football to and what we want to do there. But it all has to come together on game day as well. Sometimes you think things are going to go one way and you get in the game, they go another. So it does evolve as the season goes on. What are our strengths? What do we need to be focused on? What areas do we need to really hammer home? That always evolves as the season goes on.
Brian, we know a guy like Tyler and what he's capable of, but for someone that hasn't played a real snap in a little over 11 months, what do you expect out of a quarterback to kind of get back out there for the first time in a while?
Yeah, Tyler, he's been through this before. Obviously he's a seventh-year guy, very veteran, played a lot of football. He's come back from injury before. I think that is one of the things. I was injured myself at one point where the first time you come back from an injury, you can be a little hesitant. You can be looking forward to that first hit, which I'm sure he's still looking forward to. But he's kind of been through this process before. I think he's a veteran that's experienced in that way. So I really expect him to come out just ready to go, and you're going to hopefully see the best of him right away.
From what you've seen so far, what are you most confident in the offense, and what questions might you have?
I think we've had a really good camp so far. I think the new guys have really come in and meshed really well together. I think up front, I think we got a strong a group that has played a lot of football, whether they all haven't been here and played football, but they've played a lot of football, so very experienced. I think our quarterback has come in, shown a lot of leadership. He can throw the ball and make plays. He's shown that in camp. He showed that in scrimmages that we've had and in the spring as well. So he can do a lot of different things from the quarterback perspective where we can get the football down the field. We got some receivers that can stretch the field as well. So I think that's paired up pretty well. We've got to see it on game day. The running back room, obviously we lose two guys that had a lot of production. We're excited about the talent that we have in there, but again, they have to show up on game day and go do it in live action.
Brian, Jeff, when he was talking about the tight ends, just listed 5 names pretty quickly off the jump. How different is that group this year from last year, and how important is that position group for what you guys want to do offensively?
Yeah, our offense uses the tight end quite a bit. I think if you look through the history of our offense, we've put a number of guys in the National Football League just because we use the tight end in a number of ways in the blocking game, in the pass game. They have to be very versatile. So I think you did see us make a concerted effort in the offseason to go out and get some tight ends that could do some different things to give us some depth there. We think we have some depth there. We have some athleticism and really a deep group of weapons to choose from at that position now, as opposed to a year ago where we couldn't focus the offense as much on the tight end. I think we have some options now to be able to do that.
I want to ask you about Andrew Coverdale. What was that like going from being coached by him to then asking him to come on to the coaching staff here, and what's that relationship?
Yeah, Coach Coverdale has been awesome, as I knew he would be. He was my offensive coordinator and coach when I was in high school at Trinity up to my junior year, and we've always stayed in touch. He was Rondell Moore's coach at Trinity when we were recruiting him, and he's been at Cincinnati St. X for a number of years now as the offensive coordinator. But Always just had a great respect for his knowledge of football, the way that he can teach young people, the way that he can explain complex situations and make them really simple for a young guy to understand. He was very pivotal for me in my development as a quarterback coming up at Trinity High School. So it's been really cool to have him in the room and to be around him every day and just see how he's going to be able to work in with our staff and mesh with our quarterback room. And he's really been an asset so far.
Brian, Jeff has kind of openly talked about the desire to get more big plays, more chunk plays. How has that gone so far in fall camp? And obviously it's not something that you can force. It's just something that generally has to happen.
And fall camp has gone well. That has to translate over to the season here as we come about it. But I think Tyler has done a good job of being able to take his shots when they present themselves. And I think he has an aggressive mindset where he wants to take those shots. He wants to generate big plays, and that's what our offense has traditionally been built on. We've been known to be able to generate big plays, whether it's in the run game, pass game, trick plays, all different ways that you can try to get the big plays out there. We try to do it. So coupled with scheme and with some of the talent that we have, we feel like we have a good chance to be able to generate that again this year.
How is game planning for week one different than maybe mid-season? Do you add things or do you contract and do the things that you do best?
You know, it is a lot different this year just because Austin Peay has a new coaching staff, new head coach, new defensive coordinator. And they have a lot of new players. So they got a lot of guys transfer out, a lot of different guys come in. So you're not quite sure what you're going to see. We have an idea. You go back and watch where these coaches have been, what they have run in the past, and try to scheme up for that. But we could come out there and they could be totally something different that we haven't seen on film or haven't prepared for. So you want to do the game planning that you normally do, but you have to have the base plays that you know you're good at, that you can run versus anybody and versus anything, and those got to be ready to go in game one because you could be preparing for some defense and then you get out there and that's not it, and you got to switch it up. So there's a mixture of that as far as game one. So a lot of great plays we've run in training camp, they'll be up in that game plan no matter what, and then we'll try to scheme for what we think they're going to run. But if it's not that, we'll have to be able to adjust.
Yeah, Brian, Jamari seems like a bit of a wild card in that tight end room in terms of he's really young. He goes through a freshman year. Looks like he's in better shape. How reasonably high are expectations between you and Ryan for him to take a step forward as a sophomore?
Yeah, I think it coming in as a true freshman, it's hard to come in and play as a true freshman. I think that's regardless of where you're at. But Jamari's done a really good job of attacking, getting in shape, getting his body right, being physically ready to go because he has huge upside, huge talent, great size, great hands, runs really good routes. So he's done a really good job of developing, and we would like to see the fruits of that work come about during the regular season. So that's a big jump. I think from year one to year two is always a big jump. I know for myself as a freshman in college to that sophomore year, world of difference. So I believe that, yes, from freshman to sophomore year, yes, you're going to look and hope to have a nice big jump there and just being comfortable, understanding what you're doing, what you're supposed to do, and being able to go out there confidently and attack the game. We're looking for him to do that, and I think he will.
Brian, the competition behind Tyler, it appears, has been a good competition, and a number of guys that you could throw in there. Is it something that you tell a guy they're number two, or is it a competition that just kind of plays itself out and you go and maybe it might be different each week?
Right now, we're going to let those guys continue to compete. I think we do a good job of structuring our practice to where there's enough competitive reps during the season that they're getting some real work, some live work against our defense or against the second team defense, whatever it may be. But we want those guys to keep competing week in and week out. So that's kind of how we're going to set it up. They're going to go each week and compete, and we'll see how it is at the end of the week each week and how that's going to lay out. But I just want those guys to continue to get better, continue to push each other, not really worry about where I'm sitting, but how do I get better? How do I get ready when my time is called, that I'm going to be able to take advantage of that? So they're working, and they're working hard, and we're going to have them continue that competition, that battle to come out every day and get better.
Yeah, considering Tyler's injury history, do you talk to him? Have you guys had a conversation about limiting the amount of times he runs, or are there anything you can do to sort of protect him?
I think we don't specifically talk about, hey, let's don't go get injured out there, right? But I think with the way we'll structure, the way we use him, a concerted effort on the way we want to call the plays and the way we might want to game plan. Certain instances you might want to not put him in those situations, as opposed to, hey, it's a big situation. It's a 4th and 1. We need this one. Okay, now we got to go get it. But he does need to be, just in general, all of our quarterbacks, we want them to play smart. We don't want them to take unnecessary hits that they don't need to be taking. Really don't, unless we got somebody that we're really wanting to run the ball. We don't really tell them to go try to run guys over. We're gonna try to avoid those big hits whenever we can. But there are times, hey, we got to go get this first down. You need to go turn it on and get it. I think he is to that, and I've seen it in the NFL that, as you grow as a quarterback, you can kind of have a spatial awareness to you of, I have bodies around me. This is the time I need to go for it. This is the time I need to get the ball out. I've seen him kind of working that, even in the drills versus our guys, having a great feel for when there's pressure around him, where he needs to move to, when he needs to get the ball out of his hand. With his experience, I think that he has a pretty good feel for that. But we'll continue to talk about situations, when's the time to be aggressive, when not, and then as coaches trying to structure that game plan to where you're not putting him in unnecessary, risky situations. That is definitely something as coaches we got to talk about. Yep.